Hey, thank you very much and welcome back. Chuck Malamut is here, so the world is back in balance as it should be. It's our regular weekly program, Chuck Malamut, starring in All About Your Financial Matters. Chuck now in his 26th year here on the Hurley in the Morning program as the official financial advisor for SAME. He is the managing director, leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office. You can reach Chuck and his team at 609-383-2010. And the program that you're about to melodiously listen to is presented by Chuck, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this program are those of Chuck. They do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this program, subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, member SIPC. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, the birthday boy. We're going to extend it one day. Chuck Malamut. Happy birthday, my man.
Good morning, Harry. I know that you did the show on Labor Day just to wish me happy birthday, right?
That was it? That's why I came in.
The other 4 hours and 6 minutes
because there wasn't a hurricane, a tropical storm, or a cyclone. So, of course, I came in for your birthday.
Well, unfortunately, thank you, Harry. I guess we obviously are weather dependent and dependent upon the news that is generated from the weather. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, it was tough for Atlantic City. I'm sure. If you take a look as to what happened.
Can you imagine the millions of dollars lost this long Labor Day weekend? I mean, I can't even complain. It cost me my Monday. It cost this region millions of dollars.
Well, everybody booked. Everybody left town, Saturday afternoon seemed?
And most didn't even come. I mean, that forecast was don't come, basically. Yeah, very, very sad.
Well, you can always go back to what happened with Sandy and the fact that we got it so wrong there.
Yep.
And now, so I guess we err on the side of caution to make absolutely certain that we don't have those situations again.
Yeah, I think Sandy, in fairness, they got more right than they got wrong. But the last several have just been awful, awful forecasts. I mean, just the opposite. People were looking outside. It's sunny, and what's going on here? What are we shutting the world down for? But in fairness, had the storm tracked a little bit differently, it would have been what they said.
And, Harry, obviously that would have been just awful for the area.
And he would have been like, you didn't tell us. You didn't tell us. So it's a tough business to be in. They're wrong a whole lot, though. Frustratingly wrong. But, a lot of it's out of their control.
So the 2 concerts were canceled, costing hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. I guess I'm curious. When they go run the stats at the end of the holiday weekend, what the impact of that was.
And you have to believe Live Nation had insurance, so they had to be covered. But you can't do anything. Then I heard knuckleheads on national radio talking about, but you'll make up for it in the next 2 weeks. You can make it up. I'm thinking, what are you, stupid? Chuck, as a graduate of the prestigious Cornell University Hotel School, that a room unoccupied on a specific date, and this was dates, multiple dates, you can never make that up. You can hope that you have, an extended season and that you will have high occupancy and a nice casino drop and win and nice non-gaming revenue and do all these things. You can't make up. We lose that. That's permanently gone.
Never to be replaced, Harry, unless you're able to double book the room and sell it twice in a day.
There you go.
Not that you ever did that before.
No, never.
Okay.
No.
All right, sure.
No.
I'll save that for another.
Well, look, if the casino, and Richie Goldstein was very great to work with. I hope he's listening right now. You know how when you had the same thing, you have a great working relationship with the casino person that has control of their block. If they turn the rooms over, you're going to sell them rooms, Chuck. You know what I'm saying?
Not once, but maybe multiple times, right?
Absolutely.
But this is a family show, Harry. So we won't go there.
I love it. But Chuck, on a serious note, it was a holiday Monday. Did you have a happy birthday?
I did, Harry. Yes, thank you very much. It was nice because it was a holiday. It was quiet. Got to spend some time with the family, which was great, and all good stuff. So now the question is, I guess we'll show our age here a little bit, Harry. the great debate was Social Security.
The great debate. Tell me what you mean by that.
So at age 62,
yeah,
you can take a obviously reduced benefit.
Yeah, I don't recommend that.
And if you can afford, if you are in fact retired and have other sources of income, if you take a look at what the appreciation of Social Security, on average, it increases by about 8% a year to full retirement age, which is say age 67.
Mm-hmm.
But the big question is if you clearly understand what your life expectancy is and what it gets down to is for that calculation to work, you need to live, I believe, about 9 years into age 76, age 77 for it to be the right decision.
In other words, by that time, everything you paid in, you would have gotten back, and from that point forward...
No. What it is if you take the reduced benefit at age 62, and
I see you're going that way. That would be the year that would decide whether that was a good move or a bad move.
That's correct.
Right, because the reduced benefit, if you were to live a nice long life, and we see the average age now is over 80 years for men and women now. If you live to the average life expectancy, waiting to 67, I think, is the smart move. Don't you?
Well, Harry, actually, when we prepare our analysis for retirement, and we run the life expectancy, and these are statistics that are provided to us, from the government. The average female is in her early 90s, and the average male is in his late 80s.
It's amazing.
So clearly, statistically speaking, using those numbers, if you can afford to wait to the full, what is determined to be full retirement age, you're much better off.
And isn't it really part of? And nobody really wants to have this conversation, but it's still a truthful one. People don't want to understand that if you live to be 90 and you take Social Security from in the past age 65, now 67 until then, how many years are you collecting where you haven't paid anything in towards? It's unbelievable. I think, what do they say, Chuck? If you take full benefit at retirement age, don't you get everything back within like 5 years?
Harry, I'm not certain with that.
It's not a long time, though. It's not a long time. It might not be 5, but I know it's not 10. So somewhere like 5-7 years, and then every month when that check comes, direct deposited to your account, you haven't paid anything in. So it's unsustainable because the model was set at a time, Chuck, when the life expectancy was much different. I mean, my father, for example, paid for over probably 50 years, 40-some at least, into Social Security, never collected a penny.
It's the same thing with my dad.
And I'll tell you, I'm not thinking fatalistic, but 60. I know I've been paying into it since I was 14 years old, and I'm now 56. And I get the statement, and now I'm online where I can see it anytime I want. And that's a horrible thing if you don't ever get any of that back.
But Harry, I got a phone call. They told me you need not check every day.
I don't check every day because I listen to Malamut. Okay. I'm from the school of Malamut, but I can check, is what I mean.
Yes, you can, Harry. So. No, that was a little off course. We were going to talk about.
By the way, though, if you do start at 62, you can't make up for that later. You made the decision.
You made it. You are collecting, and
you're collecting
again,
less.
Depending upon what your. I mean, there are times where Social Security can in fact be taxable. If you continue to work and you collect Social Security, then a portion of your Social Security benefits will be in fact taxable. So there are some.
How about after age 67, though?
It depends if you're working. Sure.
Okay, I thought that if you got to the full retirement age, it was different on the taxable side.
No, I believe you still pay, but Harry, I think what
you can make a certain amount.
We have some great tools that can certainly help facilitate, and run the numbers out to make the right decision. But everything that we've seen so far, you're better off if you can. To wait to quote full retirement age.
I agree with you, Chuck. It's 15 minutes past the hour. When Chuck comes back, he'll give us the market update. We're going to talk about the August jobs report numbers. They were not what was anticipated. Unemployment did stay steady at 4.9. Chuck will have all the details. The European Union ruling on Apple, which I think is absolutely preposterous. I don't think it's going to stand. The Fed, and is the rate hike near? U.S. equity markets, change in leadership, a whole lot with Chuck Malamut straight ahead. And in case you didn't know, yesterday was Chuck's birthday, so we're bringing out the Fab Four. With Chuck Malamut, Your Financial Matters continues. It's 17 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut is here to present the very latest in our financial markets. You can reach Chuck and his team, the Malamut Group. Chuck is the managing director of his group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. Chuck.
So, Harry, as we got to the end of the week, and we'll talk about the jobs report in a second, but if we kind of focus on the markets, one of the things we talked about last week had very, very low volatility in the month of August, and probably it goes back almost 20 years since we've had this lack of volatility, which is very, very interesting in spite of everything that's going on. But we saw another week this past week of limited movement. Now, granted, it was on the heels of Labor Day weekend, and everybody wanted to get out, early. And as a result, the market got, there wasn't a lot of activity, but we were able to erase most of the losses that we incurred earlier in the week. The S&P was up, 0.5%, thanks to the rally that we put in on Friday, which actually took, if you take a look, Harry, that rally started after the result of the disappointing employment situation report that we received for August. And I know that you were sitting here, bated breath, just waiting, for that report. So
I was.
If you take a look, we created 151,000 jobs in August, fewer than the consensus estimate of 180,000. Now, there was some positive notes from that report. July was revised upwards from 255,000 to 275,000. The unemployment rate held at 4.9%. And, U6 unemployment, which we oftentimes talk about, which is more of a broader measure, also held steady at 9.7%. So the question that everybody is thinking about, and it's I think it was pretty obvious in what the equity markets did on Friday, is what's going to happen here. We have a Fed meeting in a couple weeks. Then we have the election, followed by another Fed meeting in December.
Well, what's going to happen is I'm going to be eating well. That's what's going to be happening.
Well, Harry, there's a 26% probability, which was, previously when we put our wager together, it was about 10%.
Thank you.
So it is moving in the direction where if I happen to win, which, it was a long shot.
It's fainting in your direction, but I will be eating well.
You'll eat a pizza.
I'm going to invite Billy to be with us, the president. Billy, you're eating with us.
You can eat a pizza. That was the deal.
No.
And
gourmet.
No. The deal, I feel like the wager was a pizza at Capri.
You get gourmet.
Yeah, let's not get confused
I'm teasing
here.
you.
Okay.
I know you have too good a memory. I know you're not Hillary. Billy, you're having pizza with us because I'm winning the bet. Go ahead, Chuck.
So Harry, anyway.
Text me, Billy.
If you take a look, average hourly earnings edged up, a fraction, 0.1%. The consensus was 0.2, so they didn't move up as much as we expected. The year-over-year growth rate is at 2.4%, which is down from where we were in July at 2.6. If you take a look at the trading that was impacted, obviously the equity markets, moved up triple digits very, very quickly, up, I believe, 75 or so in the Dow as we got to the end of the day. The dollar did move downward after the release, but did rebound as the day wore on. So, if you take a look, Harry, what I mentioned to you just a few minutes ago, there's actually a 24% probability that there is some kind of a movement in September. The probability, actually moved upward with December, where they're now forecasting almost a 55% probability that we're going to make a move after the the report that we saw this past Friday. So, while the employment report was not weak enough to really convince investors that a September rate hike is, out of the question, the Treasury market did agree that the assessment that they referred to leading to, if you look at the yield curve, Harry, there is some steepening that we saw on Friday, and as a result, again, there is still a 25% chance that they make a move, in a relatively short period of time.
Which means what you're really saying is there's a 75% chance that I'm going to be eating pizza.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Well, Harry, you can eat pizza whenever you like, but sure,
a 75% chance that I'm going to be eating pizza that you pay for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just want to stipulate.
Now that we got that straightened out,
in other words, a 3 out of 4 chance that I'm eating.
Yeah, but let's look at Brexit. I mean, anything.
I called that.
Anything can happen.
I know, but I called that, and I'm calling this.
Okay, everyone had said that Brexit was not going to happen, and lo and behold, much to everyone's
just remember when
surprise, it did happen.
When politics intersects the world of finances, your brother Harry is at the top of the mountain. So when it is normal financial matters and that are not of this type of thing, Chuck Malamut is the stir that stirs the drink. And I want to feather this into something else that I think is political, but also intersects the highway of the financial world of Chuck Malamut. And that is that the European Union hit Apple with some kind of, I think, phantom tax fine that I believe there was a Fortune magazine piece I read about it. I think the European Union has admitted it's a political hit. It's a political matter. How in the world do they owe Ireland? It's over 13 billion in euros. That calculates to 14.6 billion in dollars. I don't believe Apple's ever going to pay this.
Well, look, Harry, if you look at the ruling, the European Commission ruled that the Irish government granted an illegal state aid to Apple in the form of artificially low tax rates, and ordered Apple, to pay Ireland 13 billion euros or 14.5 billion in U.S. dollars in back taxes. Apple's deals with the Irish government created an effective tax rate that was reportedly below 2% on its European profits, well under Ireland's 12.5% corporate tax rate. And if you take a look at what happened, I mean, again, this caught the ruling caught everyone by surprise. Apple, we're not going to talk about a particular stock, but this was obviously, not a recommendation, but the stock moved down fairly significantly, the day this came out.
Yeah, bad news.
So now it's a matter of, what are their next steps?
Their next steps are not to pay
in an effort not to pay, the 14.5 billion U.S. dollars. I mean,
what's Ireland going to say? You can't sell iPhones here anymore? Their country will revolt. I mean, we're 2 weeks away from the iPhone 7 coming out.
Yeah, it's so actually there's a launch. I think there's an announcement tomorrow,
yes,
September 7. As we anticipate the iPhone 7, there's been a lot of discussion around the fact that the headphone jack has been taken out of the phone, and the reason that Apple said this is happening is because they want to make the phone more, potentially waterproof,
and also they want to have more battery room. They want the phone to be able to have more power. And
headphones, not headphones, but the buds are going to be supplied.
Yeah, they'll be Bluetooth
when you purchase the new phone, and they will be Bluetooth enabled. And it's just a matter of all of us are creatures of habit. We'd love to plug that into the phone. So I think the first time you have your iPhone 7, you try to plug it in, there's obviously no plug. Now,
I don't know about you, Chuck, and I don't worship my iPhone, but it is always on me or next to my bedstand, nightstand. I mean, I really do like my phone. I like this particular brand. I don't ever plug anything into that jack, ever. I wear a headset 4 hours a day. I don't ever put earbuds in. I'm not going to miss it. And if I do, That's like, I think ultimately it's going to be like missing an 8-track. I missed my 8-track. Woo-hoo! I mean, this is the way it's going. You're going to go, you get into your car, Chuck. You get into your car, I get into my car. The phone automatically Bluetooth goes right over, and your car operates the phone hands-free, all kinds of function capacity right from the Bluetooth. This is the direction we're going anyhow. I think this whole boo-hoo because you can't plug in to the earbud jack is a lot of hooey.
Well, I think, Harry, that I mean, personally speaking, where I happen to use the headphone jack is, when I'm traveling on an airplane.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's about the only time.
My son does that. I see him do that.
But all other occasions, we're using, obviously the phone is Bluetooth enabled, and you can listen to your music in your car. You can listen to your.
And honestly, if you told me that, and I don't know what the ultimate outcome will be, but if you told me that by doing, a lot of people went crazy, Chuck, when this control button went to the right side rather than to the top right, because you were so used to being able to turn that off. And now if you do it like I do, you use your middle finger on your hand if you're putting it in your left hand. If you were doing it in your right hand, you'd probably use your thumb. But I use the middle finger on my left hand because I like to swipe with my right hand. But anyhow, I didn't miss that. For a little while, you were like, you're going for the top again. But you got used to it. To me, if you told me I get 25% more battery life, I don't know what the answer ultimately is going to be, and I lose that earbud jack, I'm signing up for that every time.
Well, I think, Harry, it's like anything else. It's something new, and we all are creatures of habit, and it's just something else that we're going to need to get used to, and it's just a matter of a couple days. I think you're fine.
And also, too, the camera is going to be at the highest quality level ever, and they're going to have 2 cameras. There's going to be some other things about it. I'm excited. Every 2 years, I seem to get a new iPhone, and I'm always right on pace. I can do an upgrade right now. I'm ready to go, and I'm going to get the iPhone 7. I'm going to pre-order it just like I always do, and I'm going to get it. And I don't care about that earbud. I don't care about it at all. And I think they're going to do better than a lot of people think with the I know that right now there's been a lot of publicity that for the first time ever, there's concern about the number of units that they're selling and this and that. I think this is going to be well received. We'll see.
We'll know very quickly, Harry. That's for sure. And Apple, they need a good launch. They need to get moving in a positive direction. There's no doubt
Chuck,
about that.
I know we got the bottom of the hour break coming up in just a moment. Let me just raise one more comment. Tim Cook has now been in charge for 5 years. It's hard to believe for those that don't think that Stephen Jobs has been gone for 5 years. He has. Do you think that it is evident? And this is just conversation. This is not about, you don't make recommendations of any one stock anyhow. This is just a conversation. Do you think that Apple misses Steve Jobs incredibly?
I think, yeah, for sure, Harry. I mean,
I do.
There doesn't,
nothing against Tim Cook.
I mean, there is a fair amount of creativity, but I think the company has changed, from what was many, many years ago. But that's not unlike the evolution of any particular company, and it's a matter of, it's a very, very large, position as far as if you look at your market capitalization, it is held in most ETFs, exchange traded funds, and a lot of individual mutual funds. So, the world is very, very dependent, and I think for the most part, unless you're betting on the other side, if you're betting for the market to go down, they want to see this company, have a successful launch of the iPhone 7.
Excellent analysis, as always, by Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor to the Hurley in the Morning program. Turn to Chuck, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office for all of your financial planning needs. 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. And when you are in the market for a personal injury law firm, this is the team that I exclusively refer to, and they're the team that we turn to as well. Thank you, Sean Hannity. I'm Harry Hurley. He is Chuck Malamut. Chuck Malamut is the managing director of his team, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office in Northfield, Atlantic County, New Jersey. 609-383-2010 is their hotline. That's the number to call for all of your financial planning needs. Chuck, give your listeners an idea. You guys do it all, really. College building, you do life planning, you wedding planning, college building, vacation. I mean, you do it all.
I think, Harry, what's interesting about our team is the fact that our clients, can get a broad base of planning, whether it's from an infant that is a newborn, so to speak, up to someone that is potentially looking at retirement and what those retirement goals are. And I think what's very, very important is with our group is that we're not going to, if you're looking for a group that's going to trade the market, be in and out of equities, pretty much on a day-to-day basis, then you really shouldn't be talking with us, because again, we have been lifelong planners, basically for the last 30 plus years. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but
you've actually had people start at a young age, even before middle age, that are now able to retire.
And we've started with
their children,
with
even.
the children that were newborns, where we had initially custodial accounts, which then
you were working on their college builders,
morphed into the 529s, and now we're seeing 529 accounts not being used in their entirety, being passed on to the next generation or to nieces or nephews within a family. And I think what's very gratifying, Harry, is when we have had a few occasions where the child is now a client, and I guess that kind of shows our age a little bit.
Well, I have to say, for your advanced age, you look very good, Chuck. You really do. I mean, yesterday was your birthday.
Well, thank you, Harry. I appreciate that.
You don't look your age.
We try. We
We're contemporaries. I'm teasing.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, why did I come in here today anyway? I should have taken a day off.
You love me. That's why.
I was thinking about taking, calling today in.
Take your birthday off the day after?
Yeah, but I need to be here. So
thank you. It's all good stuff.
All right. So, Harry, what's next on the agenda here?
The Fed we talked about, rate hike. By the way, what is the percent that there will be a rate increase before the end of the year?
It's in the mid-50s right now.
Yeah, I think they will raise it, but it will be after the election. I will eat pizza, thank you. And now we're going to talk about U.S. equity markets, Chuck.
So, Harry, as we chatted about, earlier this morning, it's been very, very quiet. The month of August was not even a blip on the radar. We went pretty much absolutely nowhere. But that's not such a bad sign, because you think about the fact that as we got into the month, everyone was amped up. They were very, very not excited, but very, very concerned with the fact that there was going to be a lot of volatility in the markets, and there's not, or there wasn't. So, the question is, as you move forward, is the bull market, is it dead, Harry, or are we kind of taking, sort of taking a time out, so to speak, as we get into a resting point here? Are we going to move forward, or are we going to move backwards? And, the pessimists, those that always talk about how bad things are, they can't stop talking about profits in the S&P 500. So, if you go back to the second quarter, earnings were down about 3.4%. And from from the government's economy-wide measure, when they're looking at corporate profits throughout America, is down about 4.9%. So in hindsight, Harry, corporate profits peaked in 2014. Remember what happened in 1978, 1988, 1997, and 2006. So the negative camp is saying that a recession and a bear market are on the way, just like the ones that followed those peaks in profits in the years that I just mentioned to you previously.
Chuck, let me know if you need to get that. I'm happy to I can make an announcement. Okay, you're going to silence that.
No, we're good.
Okay,
we're
Chuck,
good.
I want to interrupt you because I want to make sure I get this in, and you close with that and anything else that you have. We're not in a rush. I want to share something that I just opened, and it's a beautiful letter to me, and they're talking about the Hurley Angels, and that was you, Chuck, and that was Jim Fraser, and I don't want to leave people out. It was a number of really fantastic friends of mine, everybody that stepped up to help a wonderful couple from Ocean City that had been here for decades, that were literally in a bind where they were potentially going to be out in the street. And they sent the most grateful, beautiful letter of thank you to me and Chuck, because you were a generous three-figure contributor of this effort that we put together. I just wanted to let you know that Bob and Adele wrote a beautiful letter of thank you to you and to everybody else that generously did what they did.
Happy to help, Harry. Certainly,
nice.
The area is under a lot of stresses, and we've talked about that in the past. So, so the question is, is a recession and a bear market on the way? Just like the ones that followed the peaks and profits that we had in those 5 previous years that I just mentioned to you. The problem with that theory, Harry, it assumes that the decline in profits is permanent. But if you take a look at what's happened with profits, they were significantly impacted with what happened in the energy, particularly in the energy market, which crushed profits in that sector. And if you remember, one of the things we talked about as we got through second quarter is that if we X'd out energy, what would be happening is that the profits would be either dead on from where we were a year ago, or maybe even slightly higher, or at times slightly lower. So, energy prices are rebounding right now, as we know. Profits outside of the energy sector are in fact accelerating. So, I think that while the ingredients for recession are not yet there, monetary policy is not tight. Consumer and corporate balance sheets remain relatively healthy, and recovery in home building has a lot more to go.
Chuck, let me ask you this, because you are always up on geopolitical risks and different geopolitical functions. And this is a very important year because obviously we will have a new president without a doubt. The only thing that we don't know is who that new president will be. Polls are changing literally as we speak, and maybe the underdog now might be the overdog. We'll see. But also because Republicans are defending 24 Senate seats and Democrats only 10, there's depending on how the top of the ticket does and other on the ground factors in these different states, and a lot of them I think are going to be close. Some of these battleground states, control of the Senate is going to be very close, 50-50. Then whoever the president is, the vice president will be the president of the Senate and control the Senate majority. As we saw before, we did have a 50-50 Senate in the past 12 years, and the vice president was required to break ties and different things like that. So there is certainly a change in leadership that's coming. Your thoughts about what that could mean?
Well, Harry, look, there's always been this discussion, this push-pull. Who controls the Senate, who controls the House, and obviously who controls the White House. And
I'll make a prediction, Chuck. We're going to have split government because there isn't a path for the House to change. So the House will have Republican majority. The presidency could easily be a Democrat. It could easily be a Republican. I believe it's that close right now. And the Senate could easily be Democrat or easily stay Republican. It's that close right now. So we're going to have split government. It's just a matter of, will the president have all 3 houses? Will the president have one of the 2 branches of Congress? So we're going to have not only change, but we're going to have, I think, significant change.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, Harry, and you look it's been only 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, that the media basically buried Donald Trump and said you have absolutely no shot.
I know.
I listened to you early in the morning, and I definitely don't need to drink my first cup of coffee because, Harry, I mean, you get me totally amped up. With what you're offering, to your listeners, but I think the fact of the matter is it's going to be very, very close, and this can go either way, and there's still a lot of time left before we get to to November 8th.
And particularly the Senate thing is going to be really close. When you're defending, then get ready, because in 2 years it flips, and then Democrats are going to be defending twice as many seats as Republicans. But this is going to be interesting, and I think we would be, and we're not, it would be ignorant to not acknowledge the geopolitical issue of change in leadership in one or more of the functions, either executive or the legislative branches, and what that would mean to financial markets.
Well, the markets obviously are more more inclined to have the Democrat versus the Republican elected. And I think it's probably
didn't used to be that way, did it?
It's been that way for, I'm going to say, Harry, 4 to 6 months now. Probably more the concern is the fact that
is that markets that want it to be that way, or they believe it's going to be that way?
No, they want it to be that way, and because it's the fear of the known versus the fear of the unknown. And the markets have basically said that we right, wrong, or different, we know we have with the Democrat. We're not so certain what we have with the Republican. But I think as we get closer, that as the ideas are formulated and are put out there for the American public to clearly understand, I don't think this race, Harry, gets decided at 9 p.m. on Tuesday. November 8th. I think it's going to go pretty well into the evening right now.
I think it will be a long night as well, because it's going to come down to even different time zones and things. So I don't think it will be an early night. Chuck, is there anything else you want to share in closing?
No, Harry, look, it's a short week.
Your birthday week, that's why.
The markets are trending positive right now, so hopefully we can stay on that track, and we'll have some more things to report back next week.
Chuck Malamut, he'll return 1 week from today in the 8 o'clock hour. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, buddy. For all your financial planning needs, turn to the Malamut Group. Chuck Malamut, Managing Director, Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. The program you just observed is presented weekly by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast, subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. This portion of Hurley in the Morning also brought to us by the official, the exclusive golf club to the Hurley in the Morning program, Harbor Pines Golf Club, where Senior Mondays are going to be an absolute happening every Monday through the fall season. The Harbor Pines Golf Club is located at 500 St. Andrews Drive in Egg Harbor Township, owned by the legendary Gerwicks family, and for just $49 every Monday through the fall season, seniors have a very special Monday at Harbor Pines Golf Club. Advanced tee times are required. Some restrictions apply, subject to availability and change, but please take full advantage of that wonderful rate on Mondays at Harbor Pines Golf Club. Happy hour continues through the fall. That's reduced adult beverages, live music, and the Friday $25 8-ounce Maine lobster tail dinner. Friday night 9-hole golf special. That's after 4:30 p.m. So you pair that dinner with that wonderful rate of $25 after 4:30 on Fridays. That is something special. Reservations are required. 609-927-0006, extension 19. Also, you can check out a really neat calendar of events that's available right up on the website at harborpines.com. And on Sundays, I'm thrilled to tell you about Prime Rib Night at Harbor Pines Golf Club. 5 p.m. to closing every Sunday. Prime Rib with salad bar and side dishes, $14.95 per person. Reservations are strongly recommended. Call 609-927-0006, extension 19. And when you schedule your next outing, wedding, birthday party, special event of any kind, golf outing, please tell the team at Harbor Pines, General Manager Alan Greenman, Director of Special Events Deb Stevenson, that Hurley in the Morning sent you. Please do that. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay with us if you want to jump in. We could take another call or two straight ahead right here on Hurley in the Morning, the full 9 o'clock hour, wide open for him as well. 407-1450. I hope your phone calls happen next.